This is me in China in 1996 on a trip to see where my family came from. That trip was the first time that I rode in an airplane and the first time that I got stuck in an airport.
We've been waiting here for 9 hours now.
Air travel is one of the great privileges of living in this century, and the number of air passengers is expected to double in the next 20 years. There's just one problem. Aviation runs on oil, which contributes to global climate change, and there's not a good alternative yet. So individual consumers are left wondering about their own responsibility. These blankets represent Arctic sea ice.
How many polar bears did Cleo kill?
Shame arises when our values don't line up with our actions.
Oh, this is so embarrassing.
So knowing what we know about the climate crisis, is it wrong to fly? Okay. I want you guys to think back on the past year of your lives and remember all of the flights you took, both for work and for personal trips. And I have a marker for each of you, and I want you to draw all of those flights on these maps.
Amazing. Let's see. A work trip for a story.
DC to Detroit.
New York to New Orleans.
So this flight right here is a trip that I took to Ireland this year. And on the way back, we flew over the southern tip of Greenland. And I had the window seat. And when I looked out the window, this is what I saw. That is a melting ice sheet. It's probably something I would never see except for in a plane like this. But the plane that I was flying in is one of the reasons that that ice was melting in the first place, because air travel accounts for about 5% of man-made global warming in a year.
Whoa.
And that impact will only increase as more and more people in Asia take to the skies. Okay, well, I have all of your flight data.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
I'm gonna be running some calculations on this, and I will be bothering you all very soon.
Okay.
All right.
Okay?
All right.
All right. Everyone flies for different reasons. The four of us, we took 84 flights in the past year, and almost half of those were for work. The best way to find out what impact that has on the climate is to use an online calculator that measures the carbon footprint of each flight. They ask about your connections because nonstop flights typically use fuel more efficiently. Something like a quarter of emissions are from takeoff and landing alone. So you don't want to do that twice if you don't have to. They also ask whether you flew economy, business class, or first class, because if you're taking up more space on the plane, you're responsible for more of the fuel use. The folks in first class are causing about 5 times the emissions of the economy passengers. Tisk, tisk, tisk. So all of our flights led up to the equivalent of 36.7 metric tons of CO2. It's kind of hard to know what that means because CO2 is invisible. But there was a report published that shows us how we can translate our CO2 emissions into actual square meters of melted Arctic sea ice.
What we found, that basically the observed sea ice loss is very linearly related to how much CO2 we keep adding to the atmosphere, such that for about every metric ton of CO2 we add to the atmosphere, we melt another 3 square meters of sea ice. You know, whenever I fly from London to New York City, for example, that's equivalent to about a metric ton of CO2. So then I would melt about 3 square meters every time I flew. So basically the size of a large dinner table, I guess.
Where's Joss?
Here's Alex's.
Where are we going?
I have no idea. Do you guys know where we're going?
I have a pretty good guess. I heard a lot of talk about blankets.
Yeah.
Like picnic blankets? Is there food there, is what I'm wondering.
I don't think there's gonna be food.
No?
Welcome to the park.
How long have you been here?
I spent the night here.
Oh, nice.
Oh no.
Not
At
really.
least you have blankets.
You ready to have some fun?
I think so.
Okay, so this morning we're gonna be using our imagination. So these blankets are Arctic sea ice. And of course, they're just blankets that we're gonna be donating to Providence House here in Brooklyn when we're done. But for now, they're sea ice. And Arctic sea ice, of course, has been melting due to man-made global warming. So we'll start over here. If you have meat in your diet for a year in the US, you melt this much sea ice.
Oh my God.
And that is actually the square footage.
Exactly, yes.
Wow.
If you drive a car for a year in the US, Alex, you melt this much sea ice.
Should I roll this?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, this is shameful.
Whoa.
What kind of car do you drive?
I drive a Nissan Silvia. Oh, that's devastating.
You probably drive less than the average American.
But it only gets like 16 miles a gallon.
Not great. And this is the ice that melts from the average American's air travel in a year. And that doesn't seem like a lot because it's the equivalent of just one round trip between New York and California. But that generates the same emissions as around 4 months of driving. But of course, the four of us, we are not the average flyer.
Oh no.
So we're gonna go over there now.
Those are gonna be huge. Uh-oh. I think I see my pile.
Yeah, same.
Okay, we're gonna start with this one. You guys wanna help me fold it out?
Yeah.
Let's just start with half this way, and then it goes.
Oh my God.
Oh, wow. I was going to say it's like the
This
car,
is
but this is...
yours?
This is mine.
Whoa.
Oh no.
But this isn't even like, this is just you flying. This
In a
isn't
year.
even you as an individual with
Right.
everything you-
Okay, now let's go over and check this one out. It's Alex.
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 Yeah, that's me.
You did pretty good.
Still more than the average American though, right?
Still more than the average American.
Yeah, I'm like 2 Americans. Still not good.
Okay, big
Who
boy.
could this be? Oh no. Oh, this is so embarrassing.
It just keeps going.
Well, I feel terrible.
Okay, let's do the last one.
I like how the number of times it has to be folded
Tells
kind
you
of
a
gives
lot.
us an idea.
Right.
Oh my God.
It's like a small whale.
Oh no.
It's like a big whale.
Well,
It's a lot of ice.
it's a lot of ice.
But it's not really about any individual. So we're
I
gonna,
mean,
like you flew all over the place for work this year.
it is mostly work,
Yeah.
but still.
Maybe something for Vox to think about.
Yeah. Oh, it's so heavy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my bad.
So altogether, we flew on 84 airplanes in the past year.
84 separate airplanes.
84
Wow.
separate airplanes. Do you guys know how many flights there are in a year around the world?
Oh,
In a year.
hundreds of thousands?
There are 35 million flights around the world in a year,
35 million.
which is almost 100,000 every single day.
Huh.
So let's go sit down over here.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about that is that all those flights are being taken by a minority of the world's population. So by some estimates, only 20% of humans have ever flown on an airplane.
Whoa.
Wow.
And even within the US, only about half of Americans fly in a given year. It's about 12% of adults in the US that are taking 70% of the flights, people like us. And that's where it gets into the big ethical issue with climate change, is that the people who have used the most fossil fuels generally have more resources to deal with the impacts of climate change. So we're talking about stronger storms, more floods, more droughts, deadly heat waves. It's really the world's poor who are the most vulnerable. And in most cases, we're talking about people who have never seen the inside of an airplane. And some people are taking this so seriously that they're completely changing the way they travel.
Is this 16-year-old young lady now the leader of the climate
She
change
is
movement?
definitely the face.
And she's given a big push to the flight shaming movement. That is, you're called out, you're shamed if you fly?
So Joss asked me to go see Greta Thunberg arrive in New York City. She's been sailing across the Atlantic for the last 2 weeks, I think. Her trip is a part of a larger movement called Flygskam, which is Swedish for flying shame. And honestly, it's kind of working.
In Sweden and other parts of Europe, people are starting to brag on social media about traveling by train instead of by plane. And the data shows that in Swedish airports, passenger counts are down as well.
I admire a lot Greta Thunberg's feat of crossing the Atlantic Ocean with a sailboat in 2 weeks. I mean, I think that's very brave of her. But I think that this is a much bigger problem than just what your personal choices are. You know, I think there's an entire system that's causing climate change and a whole bunch of other environmental destruction. So
You look great.
this was something I threw on.
That diagonal sail, that's her. And she's about to step foot on land for the first time.
Well, all of this is very overwhelming, and the ground is still shaking for me.
Hey.
Hey, Joss.
So, Umair, you've been following the flight shame movement as it's been developing this year. What are some of the critiques of this shaming approach?
Well, in order to solve climate change, a massive global problem, you really need to be taking big bites of the apple. And the critique here is that focusing on what individuals do kind of deflects the responsibility from the institutional actors that really need to be making these changes.
And when it comes to Greta specifically, she's obviously very famous for avoiding flying, but her message is a lot broader than that, isn't that right?
Oh, absolutely.
My message is that we'll be watching you. The eyes of all future generations are upon you. And if you choose to fail us, I say we will never forgive you.
She does shame grown-ups, but not about their flying, but about their inaction. And I think that if you are going to shame people, that might be the way to do it.
So this is awkward. In order to finish this story, we are taking a plane to California, a Boeing 737, which burns through about 700 gallons of jet fuel every hour. Not great.
Welcome aboard. Should be a nice day for flying. Thank you.
So we logged on to a site called myclimate.org. That's a nonprofit organization that helps you calculate and offset your carbon footprint. So we send them money, and they will be sending it to Kenya to help provide more efficient cook stoves for households that would otherwise be using open fires to make their food. I don't think that offsets are a solution to climate change, but it's a good way of acknowledging that our consumer choices have impacts around the world, and our investments and donations can have impacts too. Did you see it? That's the Pipistrel Alpha Electro. They're adorable. I mean, I just want to put little googly eyes on the front of that thing. It's the world's first production electric airplane. And I'm here in Fresno to talk to Joseph Oldham, who is a veteran pilot who played a big role in bringing these planes to California in order to start the country's first electric flight training program.
Pretty amazing project. We ran emission calculations on the reduction in greenhouse gases from just these 4 little aircraft operating in flight training operations for a year. And it's like reducing carbon emissions by 92 tons, which is pretty significant for 4 little airplanes, right? Mm-hmm. This right here is the motor.
Just this right here?
Just that.
Wow, it's like 3 inches.
Yeah, it's very small. And then these are the battery packs. There's 2 of these. There's one up here in this front compartment, and then there's a second compartment behind the pilot.
So to charge up, so you have an hours of charge, you said it was $5?
$4.
$4 to charge this
and
airplane.
That's at 25 cents a kilowatt hour.
Right.
But you go to some places like Seattle, they get all their power from hydro, and it's 6-7 cents a kilowatt hour.
It's not an electric plane, is it?
No, it's not an electric plane, no.
It's a pretty comfortable seat.
It is.
Now we're basically ready to go.
So the plane is on now?
Yes, the plane is
Oh my
on
gosh,
now.
it's so quiet. So when you're flying flying in this plane, does it feel like you're at the beginning of a revolution in aviation?
Oh, yeah. You know, young people will go, you flew something that had gasoline in it? Really?
When I was your age, we had to light fossil fuels on fire. What's up?
I have to run alongside you guys.
You have to?
Because the wireless range.
Oh, it doesn't go that far.
No, not that far. Can you just go like half that speed?
Okay, sorry about that.
Okay.
That was fun. For us, not so much for you, huh? Got some exercise?
Yeah.
Okay, loud and clear over here.
Very good.
Here he goes. Wow, that's quick. And besides the reduction in emissions, what are some other benefits of having an electric motor in an airplane?
Well, just a lot more reliable. You have only one moving part, so there's less things that can go wrong. So it's substantially more efficient that way.
And what do you think is the main factor holding back the improvement in the batteries so that we can get these into bigger planes?
Well, it's just getting the right chemistry so that you can have higher energy density. That's really the bottom line.
Oh, there he goes, right there. So cool. Nice and easy.
Hey, how's it? Oh, is that a plane?
So I got to go to California for this story because we're looking into the future of flying. And what I got to see there was an electric airplane. It's just a small two-seater plane that can fly for about 80 minutes.
Cool.
But that's on batteries alone.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
No fuel.
No fuel.
That's
just,
great.
Yeah, electricity. And those batteries weigh this much. Can you lift this?
I can't lift it.
Oof. They're heavy, right?
Yeah, they're 25-pound plates. What are you gonna do with these after?
We're gonna return them.
Oh, thanks.
So this weighs 106 kilograms, which is 230 pounds.
Metric system.
Yes.
I like it.
And to fly the same distance in a gasoline-powered version of that plane, the fuel weighs just this much. So when people say that fossil fuels are really energy dense, this is what they're talking about. So this difference becomes really challenging when you move to bigger planes.
Yeah, I bet. Oh, that one's huge.
This is a Boeing 737, which is the kind of plane that I took to get to California.
Cool.
And that trip burned about this much jet fuel, which is made out of kerosene. It's a fossil fuel. The same amount of energy in batteries would take up this much space.
You couldn't even fit that on there.
I know, look at the people compared to the battery. It's gigantic. And this battery would weigh at least 20 times more than the liquid fuel and 7 times more than the airplane itself.
Yeah, and for the jet fuel, it's going to burn off, but for the batteries, they're going to stay the same weight the entire flight.
Right, it doesn't get lighter during the flight like the liquid fuel does. So the good news is that batteries are getting better.
Nice.
Between 2008 and 2015, the energy density of batteries nearly doubled. And experts predict that in about 30 years, this plane could fly electric from New York to Chicago.
Wow.
But there's a problem.
Oh, no.
80% of emissions from airplanes come from flights that are longer than that.
Ah, that sucks. Is there anyone working on what's going to happen in the future? Is there a super battery coming up that's going to just change the way that we utilize this energy?
The battery that's sort of in vogue right now is your lithium-ion battery. It's what's in electric cars, it's what's in all of our cell phones. But some researchers are looking into completely different chemistries. So whether it's electric planes or hybrids or biofuels, it's just gonna be some time before we can engineer away these emissions. And that's because our industries were built on energy-dense fuels that had been locked underground for millions of years. So is it wrong to fly?
The short answer from my perspective is no.
We need mobility. We have to have mobility, but we need to find ways of doing it without emitting more carbon emissions.
Climate change implicates us all in a planet-sized injustice. If I fly, if I drive, if I heat or cool my home, if I buy stuff, if I eat stuff, all of this now has a cost that I'm not paying. But what's more shameful than participating in a world that was built for fossil fuels is doing nothing to help bring about a world that isn't.
You know, start thinking about what kinds of decisions you're making for your society around you. You know, should we invest more in trains, or should we create more, charging infrastructure for electric cars?
The candidates that you support at a local or national level, the infrastructure that you're willing to pay for.
I would say we can be judicious about how we fly, try to look for more direct flights, trying to minimize stopovers, and certainly rethink flying unnecessarily for things that we could easily replace with Skype meetings as we're doing right now.
We're not going to solve climate change by staying on the ground. But if I'm not part of the solution, then I'm only part of the problem. And yeah, that's wrong. To see more episodes of our show, click here to the right. And for more great learning content from YouTube, click here on the bottom right. Thanks for watching.